Hello friends, today I'm going to discuss about a very new scheme which has been introduced by LIC of India. On the formation day of 5th September, which was celebrated a week or a couple of weeks back, it introduced a new policy called New Pension Plus. Okay, so now this is a unit linked plan which has got the guarantee additions also, and it's a pension plan for accumulating on a long term basis. So this is the basic objective of this plan. Now, before we go to this, I'll give you a small background about what financial planning elements you need to remember. Number one, you should always have a life insurance policy to replace the income in case something unfortunately happens to the breadwinner. The second is health insurance. You need to have a health insurance policy. God forbid if you get any sickness or ailment or hospitalization, the amount you spend on hospitalization and all these elements can be reimbursed by a hospital insurance or rather a health insurance policy. The third pillar, which is very important, is your retirement planning. The average age of a retired person is beyond 20 years after retirement. Okay, which means I mean to say 80 years or 75 to 80 years is the average age of any Indian afflicted. So which means the person who retires would ideally live for 15 to 20 years definitely. During this particular year, what will be your income? Now, almost all the persons nowadays, except for a few lucky government employees, do not have pension by the government of India. Now, for those people who are not lucky enough to have pension from the government of India, you need to create a pension for yourself. You need to do a retirement planning. You need to create a provision so that your income continues after retirement. So there are a number of schemes sponsored by the government of India for you to opt for. One such a scheme is this new Pension Plus scheme. I will elaborately tell you what are the main features of this. There will be 10 points which I will be telling you as the features of this, out of which the last point will be my personal advice that if you invest in this particular scheme, what are the precautions you need to take? What are the best methods you need to adopt? Okay. And then I'll tell you in what way this particular Pension Plus scheme is better than any mutual fund. Okay. So these are the things which we will be doing it. Let us go into the topic right away. So the plan or the government scheme which has been introduced is called the New Pension Plus scheme. Right. Now let us go. What are the main features of the scheme? As I told you previously, it's a unit linked plan. The second is it is a guaranteed additions, which is, it's going to, the government of India is going to actually add certain units free of cost to you. Then the third thing is you can start your pension as early as when you are 35 years old. Okay. And the payment options are quite flexible, right? It can be either monthly or quarterly or half-yearly or even yearly, and it could be even a single payment in a lump sum, right? So now let us go even more deeper into this plan. Who is eligible? How much you need to invest, right? What are the charges? What are the benefits you get? All those things, let us go one by one. Number one, what are your eligibility conditions? The minimum entry age for entering into this scheme is 25 years of age. The maximum age for entry into this scheme is 75 years of age, right? Then the minimum duration you need to continue the policy, right, is 10 years from the date of your commencement. The maximum duration you can continue to pay in this particular policy is 42 years, right? Then the minimum age from where your pension can start is 35 years. The maximum age from where you can start your pension is 85 years. Okay. Now, what is the minimum investment on this policy? The minimum investment, there are two types of investments I would tell you. One is a lump sum investment. Another is a regular investment. People who are having lump sum investments can make lump sum investment and then continue to have their pension after say 10 years of duration, because that is a minimum duration. People who do not have lump sum investments can start accumulating that particular pension fund, okay, right from the time you start investing that. Okay. If you are going to invest as a lump sum, the minimum investment which you need to make is 1 lakh rupees. Okay. If you are not going to make a lump sum investment but want to, make a regular payment, your investment, if you opt for the mode as monthly will be 3,000 rupees. If you opt for quarterly, it will be around 9,000 rupees. If you opt for half yearly, it will be 16,000 rupees. If you opt for yearly, it will be 30,000 rupees. This will be your mode of payment. Now, what are the options for investment? Because this is a unit-linked investment plan, so what your units are going to be invested in a choice of yours, depending upon your appetite, depending upon your risk-taking ability, depending upon what you want and which fund or which bond you want to invest in. There are 4 types of bonds predominantly. Okay, these depends upon the risk taking. One will be a very high risk bond where your investment of your money will be on equity shares. The other will be a little less riskier, which will be, your investment on the equity shares will be substantially less. Then another will be a balanced one where 50% will be equity and 50% will be on bonds, on riskless investments. Another will be totally risk free. The names of those are pension bond fund, where you will have no risk at all. Everything will be in secured bonds and all. Okay. The next will be pension secured fund, where you have some amount of investment in the equity shares to the extent of say 10% to 50%. Now, pension balanced fund is the third fund, where you will have an equitable investment, equity shares as well as the bonds. Okay. The fourth one will be a growth fund, where your investment of equity share even could be from 40% to 100%. Right? These are the 4 types of funds where your premium will ultimately go for investments. Now, what are the charges? Just like any other mutual funds, you'll have some charges. These charges are divided into 2 categories. One is a mandatory charge, which you have to pay. Another is optional charge, which when you have to pay only when you do some transactions on that. Right? What are the mandatory charges and what are the other charges which you need to pay only when you exercise some transactions? The mandatory charges are premium allocation charges. What it means is when you pay the premium on the policy, certain amount will be deducted and the balance of amount will be invested in the market for buying units. Example, if you pay 100 rupees as your premium, right? Maybe, they will deduct about 7 rupees as premium allocation charges and 93 rupees will be utilized for purchasing units in the market. So this is called an example for premium allocation charges. Then policy administration charges. Because your policy is going to run for a minimum of 10 years and a maximum of 42 years, they have what is called policy administration charges will be debited, for which the charges will be debited once in a year. Right? Now, the next thing is premium payment mode. For what all premium you are going to pay, there will be some charge because of the collection criteria, right? So it will be depending upon the mode of your payment, monthly or quarterly or half yearly and yearly. Okay, naturally the yearly charges will be having the lesser charges. Half yearly, because they are going to collect the premium twice, it will be having a little bit more. Quarterly will be even more because they are going to collect 4 times a year, and then yearly and monthly because it is going to be 12 months a year, right? Then there are fund management charges, because your money is going to be invested and your funds are going to be managed by the portfolio managers. Fund management charges also will be debited once a year, right? Now, the other thing is tax charges. Whenever you are going to withdraw some amount, okay, whenever there's a maturity amount, whatever it is, then charges will be levied on that based on the taxes regulated by the government. These are the mandatory charges which will be levied. Right? Now, there are some optional charges which you do some transactions or exercise some alterations in the policy. This will be applicable. Number 1, switching charges. If you switch your funds, okay, from an investment A to investment B, for example, from a growth to a less risky investment, for a frequency of 4 times, no charge will be levied. But if you exceed 4 times switching, then charges will be levied. Okay, this is number 1 optional charge. The second thing will be partial withdrawal charges. Suppose after some time you want to withdraw some amount from your accumulations. Okay. So how much of amount you are withdrawing, and for that a particular charge will be levied because you are taking back the cash from an accumulated amount. Right? There are some miscellaneous charges which are called policy alteration charges. Suppose you want to change the contact details. Suppose you want to change some nominee details and all those things. There is something called a alteration charges or miscellaneous charges which will be levied for the servicing they are going to do on changing some provisions in the policy. So these are the broad 8 charges which are leviable in your policy as a matter of this particular policy. Right? Now, guaranteed ratios. The one biggest attraction in this particular type of policy which is typically a mutual fund policy or a SIP policy, as you call guaranteed additions. Guaranteed additions are nothing but free units which are going to be added to your policy on a regular frequency after the completion of certain term. Meaning, suppose your policy completes, say for example, 10 years of duration. After 10 years of duration, every year, some free units are going to be added in your portfolio. See, this is very important because how does your fund value get calculated? It is the NAV, which is net asset value, into the number of units will be your total fund value. Okay, the net asset value depends upon the trading in the stock market, right? And your number of units are going to be allocated based on the premium you are going to pay on as per your frequency. Now, if your units are going to increase with regard to the Government of India or LIC giving you free units, your fund value will increase. This is one great aspect which you cannot find in any mutual fund or SIP. Okay, this is with regard to the guaranteed additions. Right, now lock-in period. There is a 5 years lock-in period before which you cannot withdraw any amount, be it a partial withdrawal. Okay, so 5 years lock-in period is quite like any other mutual fund. Right, now what are the options for your withdrawal? Your options for withdrawal is categorized into 3 halves based on the investments. Suppose your investment of the accumulated premium is less than 50k, which is 50,000, only 10% of your fund value is allowed to be withdrawn, right? If your accumulation of fund value, right, or the premium accumulation is between 50,000 to 1 lakh, then 15% of a fund value is allowed to be withdrawn. If it is more than 1 lakh, then 25% of the fund value is optional for you to withdraw. Right? In case of a single premium, suppose you have invested on a single premium, where the lock-in period also remains to be 5 years, then a little, on the same proportion, but a little higher one, like, more than 2 lakhs, you are allowed to withdraw 10%, 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs, you are allowed to withdraw 15% of the fund value, then more than 5 lakhs, you are allowed to withdraw 25% of the fund value, right? Now, let us talk about the pension, which is the basic objective for which this policy has been written. Now, you can start taking pension after minimum of 10 years of duration from the policy. Say, for example, you have started investing from 25 years. So from 35 years itself, you can start taking the pension. Or you can extend your pension age by going on investing till the age of 85. Right? Now this is subject to a condition that minimum of 10-year duration and a maximum of 42 years of duration is mandatory. If any one of these two conditions fulfill, you can opt for a pension. Then, just like any other benefit for a retired employee in a government sector, which you all know, commutation is allowed, tax-free, right? How much is the commutation? You can commute to the extent of 60% of your fund value, right? Which is very, very liberal in these things. Usually in the government employees, only 30% is allowed tax-free. Whereas here, it is 60% which is allowed tax-free. Now, the fund value will depend upon purchasing, how do you get a pension basically for this unit-linked policies? Now, what happens is when you accumulate a fund, for example, you have paid the premium, say for 30 years or 40 years throughout the duration. After that, you accumulate, say for example, 30 lakhs or 40 lakhs of the fund value. This fund value will be utilized for getting an annuity from LIC of India, okay? And then that annuity will be used for paying your pension at the frequency what you want. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly, it could be half-yearly, or it could be annual. So the fund value will be utilized to purchase annuities from the pension company, which is LIC, and that will be given to you on a monthly basis or on any frequency what you desire. And that is how your pension will start from the time you terminate your duration of premium payment. Okay. Now, nominee can withdraw or utilize the pension in case there is a death of the main person, right? Okay, now we will come to the benefits of the policy. What are the benefits which are given for a person who has completed duration, which is nothing but the maturity benefit, or a person who unfortunately died during the duration, and what is eligible from a beneficiary or a nominee perspective? Now let us take the completion of the term as far as the maturity is concerned. When a maturity is concerned, the fund value will be utilized for purchasing the pension, as I told you. Now, it depends upon you whether you want a commutation, you want to commute that particular fund value, whether you want to take back some amount. Say, for example, as I told you, if you have accumulated some 30 to 40 lakhs and you want to withdraw some 10 lakh, balance of fund will be utilized for purchasing the fund value, right? This is how it goes. Now, what are all the death benefit which is allowed? Now, the death benefit, So now let me come back to this maturity benefit itself. One point is very important which I need to tell you. Now there could be an immediate annuity or a deferred annuity. Right? If you want to have a pension from the next month itself, immediate annuity, which is that can be opted for. Suppose you say that I don't want a pension right now. I want a pension after say 5 years. That is also allowed under deferred annuity. Say for example, you started your premium accumulation at the age of 25. Now you have made a payment till 30 years, which is 55 years. Now you say, no, I don't want a pension right now. I want a pension from 60 years. So 5 years deferment you can try to opt for, and your pension will start from the age of 60. You would say in other second scenarios, I want a pension right from now, from the next month probably. So your total fund value, whichever is there after the commutation, if applicable, will be utilized in purchasing the pension amount, and that will start the pension right from the next month. So immediate pension and deferred pension. Right? Now let us go to the death benefit. If unfortunately the person who has taken the policy dies during the duration of the policy, a death benefit of 105% of the total accumulation, either of the regular premium accumulated or on the fund value, whichever is higher, will be given to the beneficiary or the nominee. So first benefit is 105% of the total premium paid, or the fund value which is accumulated, whichever is higher, will be paid to the nominee. All right. Now the second thing is, partial withdrawal can also be allowed by the beneficiary, allowing the amount to be accumulated for some duration. Right? Management charges will definitely be debited even if the death benefit occurs. So whatever charges are applicable, that will definitely be deducted. Okay. Now it is left to the nominee either to withdraw completely or to purchase the pension from the fund value, whichever is accumulated. Right? These are the benefits of the death scenario. Right? Now there are some provisions also which are allowed in this policy. Some privileges to call it, right? Number one, grace period is allowed to the extent of 30 days if you have missed the payment in any other frequency. If it is a regular premium, it doesn't apply when it is a single premium, right? Number one. Suppose you have forgotten to pay a premium, say for some reason that you have gone abroad or you have forgotten to pay the premium, you have lost the policy bond and all. So till 3 years from the date of your non-payment of premium, you can revive the policy or bring the policy back to force, right? That is allowed, right? The third thing is, free look period to the extent of 30 days is allowed. As for any policy. Now you have purchased a policy, so you are allowed to go through the terms and conditions and to satisfy yourself that all your questions, all your needs are answered in that particular policy. If you are not satisfied and if you don't want to continue the policy, 30 days window is given for you to return back the policy and say that I want to discontinue. Whatever premium you have paid will come back to you. Okay. Now, assignment is allowed under this policy, that you can pledge this policy in a bank or something for a loan, be it housing loan or whatever loan is that. So assignment, complete assignment or partial assignment is allowed in this, right? Nomination is allowed and beneficiary is allowed, which is mandatory, and you can change this nomination during the course of your premium payment. Okay. Now, switching of funds is allowed to the extent of 4 times free of cost, right? Then withdrawal up to 3 times during the lifetime of this policy is allowed. That is, you want to withdraw some amount from the premium which you have accumulated as per the norms which I told you. So you can allow only 3 times of withdrawal. Right, my dear friends? Then commutation to the extent of 60% is allowed on this policy. Right? Now, what is not allowed is also, I need to tell you. Now, benefits cannot be increased or decreased at any point of time once the policy is issued. This is very important for you to know. So, before taking the policy, imagine, think and decide what is the premium amount you want to pay, right? What is the frequency you have to do it? Frequency, of course, can be changed, but what is the benefit amount? There is no top-up which is allowed. So that is why you have to decide on the premium which you have to pay, whether it's 3,000, whether it's 6,000, 10,000 or 15,000. Because once you decide, you cannot either reduce it or increase it, right? There are no loans allowed under this policy. What do I mean by a loan, and what is the difference between a loan and a partial withdrawal? A partial withdrawal is you are going to take back the amount from your accumulated amount, so your fund value will decrease. Whereas a loan, you are going to take back and repay with some interest, so your capital is not disturbed. So this is the basic difference between a loan and a partial withdrawal. So here, no loan is allowed, only partial withdrawal is allowed. Fine. Now, age, duration, amounts of investments, and all these things cannot be altered. Please be very, very clear. Right, my dear friends? Now, let me come to the last point. How this particular policy is definitely a superior policy than the ordinary mutual fund policy or a SIP policy. Very important, my dear friends. Okay, this will really make you decide, your investment which is more prudent enough. Right, fine. Right. The first and the thing is, death benefit is offered under this policy to the extent of 105% of the fund value or the premium accumulated, whichever is greater. You will not find this in any of the mutual funds. Fine. The second thing is, guaranteed additions are given in this policy. Now, if you say guaranteed additions, no mutual fund is going to give you free units after the completion of even 10 years, whereas LIC gives you. LIC is going to give you on a periodical basis. Every year it is going to give you back some units till the policy's term is over, right from the 11th year. Okay, so this is the biggest advantage because this is going to increase your fund value. Fine. Now, you have to purchase a pension or a pension at the end of your maturity because this is the objective of this plan. Whereas in SIP or other things, you need not purchase. You can spend your money as it is, and the money also sometimes, if you're not a good financial planner, it gets fizzled out within no time. Whereas here, it makes you purchase a pension because the very objective of this policy is that it should give you a regular income from your retirement age, right? The next thing is no capital gains is applied on maturity. Very, very important, my dear friends. Neither short-term capital gain nor long-term capital. Of course, short-term capital gain cannot apply because this policy is more than 10 years duration. So no long-term capital gains are also applicable on this policy. See, these 4 benefits out of this policy makes it head and shoulders above the other policies. So recommendation, right? See, what I recommend from this policy are these things as the last one. Single premium is better to avoid any charges, right? See, if you are going to have a lump sum amount, better invest a lump sum amount in this particular policy because you can save a lot of charges, which I have told you as mandatory charges or your optional charges, right? Second thing is, if you're not able to have the lump sum investment, make a amount of investment on a yearly basis because that will be having a cheaper charges on the premium allocations, right? Now, partial withdrawal is not encouraged. Please don't have any partial withdrawal from the scheme because that will reduce your fund value completely. So, which means it will have an impact on your pension itself. You will be getting lesser amount of pension, right? Now, don't switch beyond 4 times in the policy because it is going to be charged for you, right? Don't extend your retirement or your vesting age where you want to start your pension beyond 60 years. Because from the age of 60 years, normally people will get tired, their health will slowly deteriorate, and they may not be able to work in the full capacity as they were working before. So try to start taking a pension from 60th year and enjoy the accumulations whatever you have. See, life is, you don't know when life is going to end. So let us try to enjoy whatever we have earned, whatever we have worked for, whatever we have toiled for. So please see that you try to take all your benefits from 60th year, and that is why you should start this policy quite young. Okay, if you are able to start this policy quite young from the age of say 25 years, you'll be able to have full benefits of the policy, right? Then don't try to alter anything on the policy like nomination, this one, or any other alterations which will incur charges. You can save their expenses, right? Never surrender the policy. See, after taking the policy for more than 1 year, you will not be having the window of 30 days free look period for you to give the back policy. From the 31st year, your policy will commence. Don't try to surrender and don't try to get influenced by others that this policy is not good. Okay? See that you continue the policy. Whenever the continuation of the policy is happening till the logical end date, till the contractual end date, the benefits of this policy will be huge. The returns would be phenomenal. Okay? So, once you decide that this policy is convinced to be as a good policy for a pension policy, try to go ahead and get this policy, right? Don't be influenced to surrender this policy because you lose all the benefits and all the hard work, whatever you have done when you have accumulated this particular policy. Fine, my dear friends. These are the few tips I would like to give to you along with the features of this policy. So if you have more details, please try to contact me in the mobile number or my email ID, whichever is there, so that I can clarify this. So see that a pension planning or a retirement planning is in place. If you don't have one, if you have one, see that you increase or increment your retirement benefits so that you take care of the regular income from the retirement age, taking into effect the inflations, taking into effect the medical charges for you and for your spouse, okay, and see that you enjoy your life after retirement as well, okay. I hope this video was useful to you in explaining this particular new policy. And if you like this video, subscribe to my channel for getting more and more informative videos like this. And click on the bell button so that you get all the notifications whatever I am subscribing, whatever I am informing. Right? Wish you all the best. Happy investing. Wish you a great time ahead.